Hello everybody, my name's Manika, and welcome back to the overview, where today we're getting back into model kits. That's right, today we are taking a look at a kit that I haven't seen any English language coverage on, really, which is kind of funny, but I guess that just makes this channel the first. Common Writer the first, or whatever. But yes, today we are taking a look at the Annulus Guilty Gear Strive Bridget model kit. Now, main reason I think I'm getting this is because this is one of the only Guilty Gear action figures that are out there. It's this and, like, the Storm Collectibles Soul Bad Guy, who I still need to get, but he's pretty expensive, and I haven't had time to fit him into the budget, but hopefully soon. Hopefully I'll get an unboxing of that as well, if I do get that. But yeah, for some reason, this is like one of the only other 1/12 scale action figures from the Guilty Gear Strive cast, which is a shame because they have great dynamic designs that I think would make some great action figures, but they haven't really done much, unfortunately. And I think that sucks. Because other than this, it's like Nendoroids and statues, which are not quite my scene. I've tried an Nendoroid with a Guilty Gear Strive character, but you know. Anyways, yes. I've never heard of Annulus in my goddamn life. I don't know who this company is. I don't know if they're good at making model kits. This is very much a first-time try for me, because I mainly do Bandai model kits. And I've done Flame Toys a little bit because of Transformers. But yeah. Anyways, at the front we have some art because it's a model kit. It's fine. I'm not super into it. It feels a little generic, a little genericized for my tastes. It has Bridget with Roger behind her and the yo-yo being flung out, which is pretty cool for an action scene. The full action plastic model Bridget right down there. At the bottom there's a little band that says Guilty Gear Strive. Illustration by Kenta Asano. Copyright Arc System Works. The Annulus logo is right up at the top. These sides are basically the same. You've got a cropped image of the character and full action plastic model kit Bridget. It's the same on this side as well. On this side, you have your main promo shots, the name of the figure, as well as the game it's from, shots of some of her alternate faces, the fact that she can wear her jacket and pose, and the fact that you can take off her jacket and pose her with Roger. And this side, you get the unpainted version of the model, as well as showing that she comes with water slide decals, as well as all the legalese. This is for ages 15 and up, so be careful. Read the instructions. It's a plastic model assembly kit, made in Japan, collectible for ages 15 and up, so if you're younger than that, get out of here. That's the box. So it's time to take a quick look at what's inside the box before I go and build this. Right on the top, you have the instruction manual, which has some promo art from the game, which feels a little bit more in character. I like that. Bridget, flesh and plastic model. Instructions are in black and white. You've got this one color page, which has Good Smile support, so I guess it's a Good Smile subsidiary, so that's interesting. I've seen them make other model kits, and they have a different model kit brand. Anyways, some shots of the figure itself so that you know where some of the decals go, as well as painting guides, which is pretty standard for a model kit, though for some reason I guess they're using concept art from the game, or like screenshots from the game, which is very funny, to show you where certain details on the decals go. Otherwise, it's just a black and white instruction manual, though it is book style, so that's nice. That makes it feel nice and premium, given this did, I believe, retail in America for like $60, which is around master grade price, so you would hope it has that level of quality. This is more than like a Figure Eye standard costs, and I'll probably be comparing this to how I feel about some Figure Eye standards that I've got. I've got the Figure Eye Soletta and Yorne from Witch from Mercury, so I'm probably going to compare my feelings of this to those. So anyways, in this baggie you have a selection of water slide decals, which we can take a quick look at. Just a bunch of different eye stickers, or decals, as well as some for her zippers, as well as a bunch of others for different details. I don't think I'm gonna quite go for them quite yet to help make this video be a little bit more expedient, but I do have some stuff to do water slides for, so hopefully I'll be able to water slide some of these faces, and hopefully I can use all of these options. And it's nice, as a side note, that you get 2 of each eye pair, so that if you screw up one, you can deal with it. So that's nice. And every decal is like a pair, so that's nice. That's actually really appreciated. Also, this baggie also has what seems to be the requisite stand. It's nice that it comes with a stand. This baggie has 2 runners. The J runner, which is a bunch of these tan pieces for her under layer, which is nice to see, like that shirt that she wears under. So those look nice. And then we have this red runner, which is runner I for these, and it looks like a lot of the yo-yo. So red eye runner. Then we have these runners, which includes 3 unprinted faceplates. They're all F marked. And then this other set of F runners, which are in the same shape but are printed, which is appreciated. Let's take a look at that. Well, those printed faces will look closer there, but yes, both of those are the F runner. And we have the H runner, which has some unpainted gloves, so that's a little annoying, but we'll get there. Anyways, next up, C runner, which is some yellow parts. These bags feel pretty thin, by the way. I'm not super into the bag quality, but yes, we have the C runner, which has some yellow lining parts, and the D runner, which has the sort of blonde hair parts. It's nice that each of these has had 2 runners, so I can flip back and forth without opening the baggies. This is the L runner, which includes different black parts from throughout the body and from the yo-yo. The K runner, which has these gray parts for the big handcuff that's around her waist. The G runner, which has a bunch of brown parts for Roger. The E runner, which has a bunch of skin-toned parts. There's the M runner, which has a rubbery piece for the hood. And the N runner, which has a rubbery piece for the skirt. There's the A runner, which has a bunch of blue unrubbery coat parts. And then B, which has a bunch of coat parts but in white, again unrubbery. And outside of that, there is also cut and painted straight out of the package hand parts, which is greatly appreciated. It's not all the hands. You do still have to do some decal work on and paint work on these hands if you want the full swath. Those are for yo-yoing, but these ones being pre-painted is fairly nice, and I'll probably keep those ones on most of the time. Yeah, that's everything that you get in the kit, which is a fairly decent amount. But yeah, I need to go build this thing, so if you don't mind me going to do that, I'm gonna go do that. And we're back with the thing fully built. So yeah, I don't think there's much worth while in waiting. So let's take a look at how this model kit turned out. Here she is, the Annulus Bridget in all of its glory. And yeah, it was pretty good. Build experience-wise, I guess we should start with that. It was interesting. It very much isn't as good as a Bandai model kit, I don't think. On one end, outside of it being expensive, it doesn't feel quite as complex as something this price would be from Bandai. I mean, in part, that comes down to there being certain printed parts that probably drove up the cost. The Figure Eye Standard, like Soletta and Murine, they were a bit more expensive than I would expect, and they were fairly simple. But, like, you know, it came out as, like, essentially just, like with the limbs, there's some decent work put into them, but, like, you know, they're fairly simple. They're pretty high-grade level stuff, though there are no polycaps or any polycap equivalent, so that is greatly appreciated. But there were some strange bits of construction. Some parts didn't really want to fit on super well. Some parts felt a little bit awkward. Some parts had to be a little bit floating. I think the two main, I guess, lowlights were this chain. You just kind of had to hoop them together, and it was a real pain to get them to fit through each other, though it does look nice. And on the boots, there are these like gray-black pieces that kind of loop around the whole structure, and you kind of had to like squeeze them on and pass them through certain tolerances, and it did not feel great at all. But yeah, otherwise it came together a bit fine, even if the end figure is a tad fiddly. But let's get into accessories. So as far as that goes, I'll start with hands, because something worth noting is this is where we get to some of our printed parts. So there are 4 pairs of hands, though only 2 come pre-printed, so I'll go with those first. They come in separate baggies, though the instruction manual also sometimes wasn't clear. There were a few misprints, like there was an E runner item that was printed as a B runner item, so I guess just be careful of that. But yes, so in terms of hands, they say specific, like, cutout labels, though some of them were just in baggies because they were pre-printed, so that leads me to guess that some of these pre-printed parts weren't necessarily planned, but were included later on, so I guess that's nice and appreciated. It helps drive the cost or whatever, but... So yes, the 2 printed hands are, first off, these. You get a pair of these open, spread-out hands, and they do look very nice. The printing is very good. It's nice and detailed and looks just like she does in the game, and there's a nice separation of details, and it's very complexly printed, so I appreciate that much. And it's a nice spread out hand expression. And there's also the sort of pointy finger hand that is also, you get a pair of these printed, is a very distinct Bridget-y expression, which I think works very well. I think it makes a lot of sense. There's a little bit of awkwardness in the painting, but like you won't notice it. Like mainly here, if you can see it, there's a little bit of skin tone showing through, but it's fine. It looks very nice. And it's a very distinctly Bridget pose. Obviously, I have the figure itself somewhat flipped, but in that sort of walking the dog sort of pose. The next two pairs are not printed, unfortunately. That is the fists, which are a bit unfortunate. Obviously, you got to cut them out. I didn't do the best job of cleaning them because I don't really plan to use them super much. And then you also have this pair. You get a pair of these, which look a bit weird, but they are meant for holding the yo-yos. There's this big block, and you're meant to slot it into one of two of these, though. In construction, it gets really fussy. You're supposed to essentially wedge it in the middle, which means you kind of have to have it kind of perfectly sized for it, which is really awkward to do since it doesn't really properly lock on. Like there's a little hook that it essentially locks onto in the middle, but again, it's really awkward. You do get a pair of yo-yos. They might do with a bit of panel lining because they are very detailed in their sculpt, but it doesn't really come through in the paintwork. And also, I guess those hands bring up a greater issue in that this figure's biggest problem is the lack of color separation. There's a lot more than I would expect, but there's a lot of little details that go unmentioned. The like the inner lining of the jacket, the trying to come up with words, like the little dangly bits that like hang off of it, a bunch of little small details, and they give you no color correcting stickers in this set at all. So any color inaccuracies are down to you, the builder, to paint in yourself. And that's a little frustrating. And, like, obviously there are some bits that, like, you're going to want to paint even though they are color separated. There's a lot of gold parts that are represented just in the yellow, which works fine, but you might want to get, like, some gold paint and go over them. I didn't do that for this video. I might go back and do that later. But, like, yeah, there's just a lot of intricate detail that is not covered, even on the waterslide decal sheet that the set comes with. But yes, anyways, the yo-yo looks nice. Obviously, the red plastic mars up pretty easily, so just be careful with that. But otherwise, it works fine. From there, in terms of accessories, I guess we should start with faces now that we're all out of the way with the hands stuff. So you do get two different heads. You get the one that's on the figure right now, the hooded head. I guess I'll raise it up so that you can get a better look at her rather than just like her lower body, whatever. Yes, you also get an unhooded head, which does look nice. I find this head to make her, I guess, head look a little bit long than it is wide. I prefer the hooded look, the jacketed look overall. But yes, this also shows that she comes with 3 printed faceplates. One with the mouth closed and the eyes wide open. This one with the eyes wide open and the mouth open, which does look very nice. It's a little bit fussy getting the parts in there. I've seen people who don't have it fully in there, and it gives her like a buck-toothed look. But once you get it fully in there, the teeth just kind of barely show at the top, and then she has mostly that tongue, inner mouth showing, which does look very nice. I think it works well. And it is a nice expressive face. And then there's also, in terms of printed faces, let me find it. We also have the nice winking face, which is very nice and expressive with the broad teeth out. Again, it does look very nice. It's a very well printed face and it feels very Bridget. And then you also get a copy of each of the face sculpts without any printing. You're supposed to use water slides on these. It comes with water slide decals, and obviously this is what it looks like before you put it in properly. I apologize for not doing that yet. Yes, it looks a little buck-toothed. Should push that in further. Anyways, these are a bit fussy and hard to put in fully, but yeah, but yes, you can water slide them. It comes with a set of waterslide decals with a bunch of different eye expressions from the game, and that's nice that it includes those, but it is good that some of them come pre-printed, so do what you will with any of the faces that you have. And in terms of this little head, it also comes with some extra parts because the jacket is removable. The base of the jacket is in 3 parts. These are separate arms, and it comes with the hood piece, but then also you can either use that hood or you can use this rubbery hood, which once you swap out the bangs on this head, you can just squeeze right on there and it fits in perfectly fine. Now, this is a slightly more flexible material, so it'll probably have a little bit more articulation, but also it has far less color correction because it's just one rubbery piece. So I decided to go with this version of the hood rather than the rubbery version, since you would need to do more paint, and that seems a little bit more complex, and I didn't want to have to worry about that. In terms of rubber pieces I did use for the sake of articulation, you get 2 different skirts as well. You get a plastic skirt and a rubberized skirt, and the rubberized skirt will get out of the way better, and there's no real color correction that you need to worry about on that. So I decided to go with the rubberized version, but if you want to use the plastic version for some paint work, you can do that. Other swappable parts also include, again, since the entire jacket setup is removable, you also get a pair of normal arms, the little bit of tan sleeve at the top, and they look nice, which brings us down to these wrist pegs. Yes, they're normal arms, they have full articulation, you get a hinge up here, a swivel at the bicep, a single jointed hinge, which actually goes in fairly far, so that's pretty good. And then the wrist pegs, you're supposed to have a swivel, hinge swivel, kind of like a Figma, but you gotta assemble them right or else you'll break the wrist peg. I broke this one, and it essentially required me to glue this one into place, which means it's only essentially just a swivel peg down there. So be careful, I think it's because these are the same plastic, so they'll clash weirdly, but follow the instructions, when you're doing your first insertion, put the hand in first, and then put the entire assembly into the wrist. It gives you better leverage. In terms of final accessories, and speaking of color correction issues, you also get, thankfully, a copy of Roger. You do get a full Roger figure, though he does have some color correction issues, mainly in the eyes. You need to paint them orange, and then the crosses you need to paint black. But otherwise, he looks okay. Like, obviously, you should do also the little stitches all over there, and I think these might need to be a different color too, and the ones in the hands. So yeah, he needs a lot of color correction to be perfect, but he is an accessory, so I won't hold it too much against him, and he looks okay. It's just the eyes, really, that I think you really should paint. But yeah, he looks nice. He's a good teddy bear. He's got some nice sculpting. The head looks cartoony-ish enough. I like the texture of all of these bits. And you also get these 2 little foot stands so they can stand on the ground properly, though even still, he's still a little bit awkward. In terms of articulation, the neck is on a ball joint. That's mostly going to give you swivel, though there is a little bit of tilt. The shoulders are ball jointed, which go all the way around and go out about that far and go forward and backward a little bit. So yeah, hips are on ball joints, which allow a little bit of kick forward, a little bit of kick back, but mostly swiveling around like so. And these, I believe, are tiny ball joints, the little footy pieces that allow him to stand. So yeah, he's got decent articulation. He's a teddy bear. I don't know. But yeah, that's all the accessories that she comes with, which is honestly a pretty good spread. And of course, also, as you can tell, on her, I should have mentioned this as well, she comes with the second yo-yo, which comes with this metallic piece for the string. Unfortunately, it doesn't really hold itself up very well, and it's really frustrating to get onto the yo-yo, less on the finger, but more so on the yo-yo. So I might indulge you in investing on a bit of a thicker string, like a bit of a thicker copper wire piece to help it stand up a little bit more, because I think a decent copper wire could hold up that little piece of plastic pretty well. That brings us to the figure itself, as well as the final accessory. She does come with a stand included out of the box. I just have it like this because it's a little bit annoying to get it under the jacket because the porthole is in the main body of the figure, but it's a fairly standard stand, round base, hinge with a swivel there and a swivel there. It works. It won't hold up a ton of weight, but it holds up enough weight for her. So yeah, let's get into her. First off, I'm going to give you a full swiveled look around her body while I have her in this pose. Before I unhook this, put her into a more stock standard pose so that you can get a stock standard look at her. But obviously she does feel like a model kit, so her plastic's going to feel a bit thinner and a little bit more hollow than a standard action figure, but it doesn't feel the worst. Yeah, here she is with the jacket, and obviously the jacket is I'm gonna, I think, take her off the stand for this, because she can't stand on her own. It's just good for her cool walking poses. But yes, obviously, the jacket does limit some of her articulation, as you'll tell, especially with the handcuff around her waist. It's going to want to hang a little bit wider even still, and even still, it has a bit of a flow outward to it. So it is going to basically force the arms to be splayed out at least a little bit at all times. Again, this is something that's going to be mitigated if you do put on the normal arms. And like the normal look, that'll be a little bit more, I guess, stock standard and articulatable. But this is her look in the game. She doesn't really take off her jacket in the game. Like I think she does it in dual rulers, but that's about it. So it's nice to have it as an option. But Yes, let's do the full rotation. As you can see, this hood does have a little bit of better color correction, even if it's not the best. The ADs obviously have no color in the little letter holes, which is unfortunate, but it makes sense. You'll have to paint those in yourself. The little crosses and like the little symbol on the hood is in yellow, as mentioned before. Those should be in gold. I get it. Gold plastic doesn't always look the greatest, and the yellow works fine as an adaptational choice. But yeah, let's get a closer look at her so that we can get a better feel for what she's going for. So the head does look nice. I prefer it in the hood. Obviously, it's a little bit fussy to get it all aligned up. It's a little bit weird to get in there, so obviously I've got it hanging out, unfortunately, a tad, so you might want to fuss around with that. But it is nice that this plastic version of the hood has the buckles, has the AD symbol at the back, has the little gender thing poking out a little bit. It's nice. And the face does look good too. Something worth noting, I don't think I noted it with the other faces. If you do want to swap the faces, these bangs are held in under the face, so you're going to have to swap those out every time as well. It's just a little bit of fussy frustration. I think there's like a lot of little bits of fussiness in terms of doing like part swappages throughout this entire figure. Like obviously the jacket is made up of a lot of pieces and they're floating, so they're a little bit awkward to use. But yeah, the hood does look nice. It's sculpted well. It just could use a bit of paint if you can. Obviously, most of the paint I think should go to this little collar. There's a lot of detail missing there. And obviously we have the jacket itself with the nice zippers, which are pre-sculpted parts, which is actually really cool to see. I like the way that it flows. It flows outward very nicely and makes a decent amount of room for the big handcuff that's around her waist, which is just a floating piece, which is a little bit frustrating in and of itself. It kind of feels like it wants to fall off most of the time, though I guess the skirt is holding on to it fairly well, so I'll leave that be. It's all about trying to find out where it balances and obviously making sure it doesn't unhook too much, because if it can unhook and that can make it fall, but you do want to work around with it. But yeah, the arms do look nice. I like their baggy look. They obviously are a little bit pre-bent, though there is some nice articulation that makes them continue to look nice and natural, which I do appreciate. I like the line continuous through it, and the sculpting on the little cross pieces, them saying growth, does look very nice. And yeah, and obviously there's also the yellow line in the jacket, which is also a part separated piece, which is also very nice. And I like the little stitches. It looks good. Yeah, the skirt is obviously fairly simple. The legs are fairly simple. They're just kind of legs, though they do look nice. And the boots, while they could use a little bit more part separation, do look very good. I think they still hold up on their own, and if you didn't know that there was some off colors, you wouldn't really notice. This isn't quite at the level of the jacket, but still, this little intricate piece, as fussy as it is to get on, does look very nice. It holds everything together very well, I think. And I like the chunkiness of the sculpt of the bottom of the boots. I think that looks good. Obviously, she's a fairly simple figure, and obviously, I kind of wish I did some better stuff with the nub marks. I'm still getting used to fully dealing with filing parts down, but I think she does work sculpt-wise. She looks nice. I like how she looks. But yeah, I guess it's time to get into articulation. I got into the little bits of extra fussiness with these arms, but obviously they will also have a little bit better time hinging downward, and there will be less bulk in the way of the head. So I guess let's get into it. The head's on, I think, it's on a double ball joint. There's a ball joint at the top of the head and a ball joint at the bottom of the neck, which with the hood allows her to look down fairly far, up not a ton, but it's okay. Tilt side to side and have a full swivel, though you'll have to work around things, but there is a swivel there. In terms of the arms, I believe there's a little bit of butterflying in there, though you're not going to get a ton of that without popping off the joint, but there is like a bit of a butterfly in there because they're attached via ball joints, which are attached via ball joints. She's able to hinge her arms before popping things off, because obviously that's going to be a bit of a fuss. She can hinge her arms up that far, and they do a full rolling, and they do a full 360 around, though it's a little fussy. There's no real swivel at the top. That's all from the ball joint. There is a swivel at the elbow joint, and there is a full elbow joint, which, while looking a tad awkward from the front, is able to get in all the way. There's a hinge upward and downward at the wrist, help it bend in even better, or bend down even better. And of course, as mentioned before, there's a swivel hinge swivel at each wrist. The torso, the upper torso is on a ball joint, which allows it to arc back decent forward, decent, and tilt side to side, decent. And there's like a hinging system, which connects it to the lower torso. Most of your torso swivel is going to come from the upper body, actually, and that fell off, I apologize. But yes, there's even more hinging, so she's able to hinge forward before popping her neck off. Again, be careful, it's a model kit. It's going to pop off before it breaks off, at least, so keep that in mind. She's able to hinge forward pretty far, actually. And hinging backward is always a fuss with the jacket. she is able to hinge back pretty dang far as well. You'll get more range with that. Now, of course, this is a floating piece. It hinges a little bit. Yeah. Hips are fairly they're a little weird. There's like a ball joint, which has a pin, which goes to a pinhole, which has a ball joint in and of itself. So she's able to kick outward about that far. Not a ton, but okay. It's able to kick forward very far, kick backward very far, and there is a thigh swivel, which is very strong. There is a double jointed knee, which actually goes in like all the way, essentially. It gets hits on the skirt and jacket a little bit, but it does go in all the way. There is a boot swivel, though it's more at the sock. She's able to hinge forward and back a little bit, mostly forward there. I believe is there a little bit more hinge forward there and a little bit more hinge back? Yes, there's more hinge forward and back at the bottom of the foot, so she can hinge forward and backward. This is on a double hinge, so it's able to get out of the way, though it can't really hold poses, so it's more so just gonna get out of the way. The ankle pivot is there. It's a little bit tough, but there is an ankle pivot, and it can, a Marvel Legends style ankle pivot, so it can hinge outward, and there is a toe bend, which is very strong. So yeah, her articulation is pretty good. It's just about working with the figure. It's a little bit fussy to move anything on the jacketed mode, at least, because things are going to be in the way. That's probably the main benefit of the unjacketed mode. She'll move a little bit more freely. She can move okay like this. So you can see the process. There's a stand hold there. Plug her into it. Come on, there we are. Put the back of the jacket back on. Obviously, they aren't connected by anything, which is a little bit frustrating. They're just floating pieces, so you just kind of gotta work with them. Come on. So yeah, there we go. She can get into poses you would want. This is probably gonna how I'm gonna keep mine. But yeah, she's fine. She's not exceptional by any means, and if you're not like big on Guilty Gear or big on the character, I don't necessarily recommend getting her, especially since the base version seems pretty hard to find, though there are recolors, which are going to be in her alternate colors from the game. So I don't necessarily recommend this figure a ton, but if you're into the character, if you're into Bridget, if you're in the game Guilty Gear Strive, this might be worthwhile to pick up. It's a little fussy, and you will probably need to paint some stuff. It works okay. It's not Bandai levels, but it's not bad per se. But yeah, I enjoyed my time, I think, though I am ready to get to some other model kits at some point here soon that are a little bit more fancy. Leave a like if you did enjoy this video. Leave some comments, leaving your thoughts. Obviously, be nice and be respectful of other people. Don't be a transphobic bigot. Go back onto the channel, check out some other videos. I've got a ton of other model kit videos on the channel. If you're interested in model kits, I've got more videos there, and be sure to subscribe because I've got more model kit videos to come, so be ready for that. And outside of that, until next time, I'll see you around. Bye-bye!